back again with another episode of Roofer Reflections. Yeah, Octavio, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's really nice to meet you, and I'm excited to be here.
When I look back at your background, you started with a bit of a business focus.
I went to school up in Ohio, and I studied sales and international business. So the goal was really to kind of combine, my background and my passion for connecting with people. And yeah, I started really in the sales world. That's where I started my career.
What drew you to sales? Were you naturally like outgoing as a child?
I think, when you're going into college and you're not really sure what to do, and my older brother actually was in a sales program. He was a few years ahead of me and had a career that he was kicking off. And I was still kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And he's like, why don't you just do this while you figure it out? And it turns out he was right. So it was a great fit for me. And, it's something that, like you said, if you can communicate with people and you're able to solve problems for them. Sales is a great place to start, and there's a ton of opportunity. People always need salespeople, so I'm glad that he pushed me in that direction.
And I guess you before you got into roofing, you were in kind of building material sales.
I've been in roofing most of my professional career. I started a couple different internships and things like that. Actually in tech, so I was working at a CRM company, kind of a smaller company, and then moved into doors, so fiberglass doors, which were based actually in Ohio as well, before getting into Owens, where I've been for the last 7 years.
Was that sort of a transition to the roofing industry? Like how did that happen?
Well, I was studying at the University of Toledo and I'm ready to graduate. They were doing, in that sales program, they have different competitions that they do. So essentially, they get all the students together and they do like different role plays and things like that. And, it's a way for the students to test themselves. And there's also recruiters and different companies that are present. And I did well in one of those competitions, and Owens Corning was actually there as one of the recruiters. So kind of on the spot, one of the recruiters came up to me. I didn't know at the time, but he was the leader for the sales development program,
Yeah.
or internship and inside sales program.
Did you ever find out what made you stand out with the?
I think a couple things. They really look for people that follow the method, so they have kind of a process for the consultative method, and I think I did that well. But in roofing, it's very relationship driven, as you know, or in our industry and building material. And so I think I did a good job because there's a lot of people that, students especially, that sometimes go very by the book and they just follow the steps. And I was kind of better on the front end with the rapport and like the stuff in between the talking points where you make people feel comfortable. And I think that's what he appreciated because it's something that's really important in our industry.
What did you learn? Sort of, let's say onboarding or few first couple of years. What sort of training or lessons did you learn?
So it's been almost 8 years now that I've been at Owens Corning. Something that they did really well that I appreciate is they put their interns and their sales kind of develop folks into projects that really matter. So a lot of times, at internships, you might be pushing paper or getting coffee, things like that, right? But they actually gave us what's called the capstone project. So they would give you a sort of business problem or something that there's already project work going on and have you run with that for the summer or for the year to try to see if you can take a different angle on it. And we can kind of segue this into our bigger conversation today, I guess. But one of the major issues that we had at the time, this was 7 years back, was that we knew that the Hispanic market was a huge opportunity and it was kind of overwhelming, but we didn't have anything to cater to that community. We might have had like a bilingual training manual and that was about it. And so they gave me that project early on to say, like, how can we do better here? What's the opportunity? What actually is the dollar amount here? What are we looking at? And so I went into that work early on, and it's something that I've been able to really make into my own career now.
What sort of things have you implemented or adjusted over the years?
Going way back to then, I mentioned we didn't even have like the literature in Spanish or stuff like that, which for us now is just table stakes. Is can we make sure that we at least have materials that are Spanish? But beyond that, we really look at what's called it's like transcreation, right? So translation is the process of making something English into Spanish. Transcreation is this idea that it's made with an audience in mind. So the easiest example I can give you is, the World Cup is coming up. Maybe you've got a big brand that wants to do a campaign. Instead of on the TV commercial, you might see everybody sitting around watching a football game and drinking Bud Light. Maybe they're watching a football game and they're drinking Modelo or something, right? And so they know that the audience knows that they were really intended for that advertising and it feels like they were a part of the brand, part of the message, as opposed to hey, we're going to take this commercial that we made and put subtitles on it. And so it kind of resonates in a different way. So that's one thing, but beyond that, it's actually building out a program and, doing live events, live trainings, things meant for that community in their language with their with their culture. And
What sort of advice do you have for people that want to sort of figure it out, or sort of see if it's an opportunity for them? Where do they start?
I think there's always room for opportunity in the industry, first of all. And there was somebody told me this like 8 years ago, and I didn't think it was true, but it's still true now, which is, once you're in the roofing industry, you don't leave. It's kind of like we're our own little cult here, and we say that with love, right? Like, just because the industry is so built on these relationships, and everybody wants to help each other for the most part. And I think what I would tell somebody that's new is to just try to find that niche or something that's really interesting to them that they can kind of go headfirst into. And you might not know what that is right away. I mean, it took me years, for example, to be into the role that just being curious and wanting to learn those things. Saying, maybe I'm into sales, maybe I'm into marketing, whatever that looks like. You can pursue that, and you'll kind of surround yourself with people that are into that as well, and you'll find whatever that niche is. I mean, you're probably a great example of that, right, with this podcast that you're doing and interviewing people. I'm sure that path wasn't carved out for you when you first got into the industry, but I think maybe that's just in your personality, or you were curious and you pursued it, and now you've built it out. So there's a lot of room for opportunities.